This episode is sponsored by Google. It's Safer Internet Day. We sign into dozens of online accounts each day, and using strong, unique passwords is critical to keeping them safe. Luckily, Google Password Manager makes this easy by helping you create and securely save strong passwords for the sites and apps you use. So try Google Password Manager and make today safer listening, shopping, streaming day. You get the idea. Get started at passwords.google.
Hi, this is Kenny Albert. You're listening to the Broadway Hat Podcast with your host, Kyle Hall, the #1 podcast for all things Rangers hockey.
Welcome back to the Broadway Hat Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hall, and I'm recording early this week on Monday because I am going to the game tonight, so very excited for that. This is only my second game of the year so far. When you have kids, it gets tougher and tougher every year to go to games, but pumped to be back at the Garden tonight against the Flames. Should be a very good game off the All-Star break, and the New York Rangers come out of the All-Star break, sitting in third place now in the Metropolitan Division. I mean, it's been 10 days, 11 days since the last Ranger game. It feels like forever. So it'd be good to see them back on the ice tonight. The All-Star game, I feel like is a major letdown. I defended the All-Star game, and I feel like an idiot now on Twitter, saying that it was the best All-Star weekend of any sport, I felt. But now, after that display that the NHL put out there for the skills competition, I don't know. I think every All-Star game sucks now. I mean, the All-Star game itself is the best. The gameplay and everything else, obviously, the 3-on-3 is exciting. Not a lot of defense, obviously, being played, but in the last game, they started playing defense and back-checking a little more because there's some money on the line. But all in all, the Rangers have the 3 representatives there. It's always great to see Ranger players. There's in years where the Rangers didn't have anybody there. So it was great to see Igor play, his part, and Fox playing with Ovechkin and Crosby was cool to see, and Panarin really played well with Johnny Hockey there. So that was pretty cool. Him and Kevin Hayes were on the same. Him, Hayes, and Johnny Gaudreau were on the same line. So they played great. They were probably the best line for the Metro. But yeah, it was cool to see Fox out there with 2 legends, and that's something that obviously for him, for memory, that's incredible to have those 2 guys play with you. So cool weekend for the Rangers, and Igor was there with his best friend and Sorokin there with the Islanders. So they all seemed like they had great times, and Panarin was all smiles at the skills comp, hanging out with Kucherov, and Ovi's kids out there. Ovi's taking a lot of heat this year because of all of the Russian stuff. So maybe putting his little kid out there won some fans back for him. But another interesting move right before the All-Star game, the Islanders make a huge trade, bringing in Bo Horvat. Already has 30-something goals this year. Big trade for the Islanders, who right now are 55 points to 7 points back to the Rangers. This is the deal that, I think was kind of the whole league was waiting for. What is going to come first? Who's going to make the first move? The Islanders made the move, and they bring in a big-time scorer this year. A very good player overall. He's always been a very good player, but this year he's really broken out. And, it's kind of those things where Rangers have to look at that and say, okay, the Islanders aren't even in the playoffs right now. They're making moves. When are we going to make our move? Is it going to be earlier or later? Right now you're 14 points behind Carolina in first place. I don't think first place is really there, but you want to fight for that home ice advantage in the first round, most likely against probably the Devils right now. That's that's who looks like it's going to be the team that you're going to be chasing there for second place. And but hey, don't discount the Penguins. They're coming on strong. They've had a good close to the first half, and you never can count on Crosby. The Caps have struggled a little bit there at the end. I think they're only 4 wins in the last 10 games. And they've played 4 more games than the Rangers right now. They've played 53 games in the year. They sit 2 points back to the Rangers, but the Rangers have 4 games in hand on them. But the Islanders, again, they've had 52 games already, so the Rangers got 3 games in hand on them. They are 7 points up in the standings. But they're going to go for it, and that's the team that's built to win now. Look at where the team, the age on that team. So Lou's making his move. The Isles right now sit just 2 points back of the last wildcard spot, which Pittsburgh has. So they made their move, and maybe the guy the Rangers make their move with is Patrick Kane, who apparently today, according to Dave Pagnotta, the fourth period, he's saying that the report came out that the Kane's agent has come to him and talked to him about the teams who have reached out to Chicago with interest in him. Because, again, Kane has a no-trade clause. Basically, he can pick where he wants to go. And the two teams that Pagnotta is reporting are the Rangers and the Dallas Stars are the two teams that he knows of that have made contact with Chicago, looking to acquire the skill of Patrick Kane. The other thing is Kane has a known injury that he'll need to get surgery on at the end of the year, or it could flare up again during the season. So there is risk to Patrick Kane right now, and obviously it comes with what do you want to give up for him. The reports out of Chicago are they want Kakko or they want Lafreniere. To me, that's a non-starter. You can't give up those two kids for him, especially a rental player with an injury. You can't do that. To me, it's going to be give up one of the first-round picks and give up another prospect. Maybe a Matthew Robertson, a high-end guy down in Hartford, or something. I don't know. But it can't be any roster players. The furthest I would stretch would be Kravtsov, and then I wouldn't give up a first-round pick for him, frankly. If you give up Kravtsov, maybe a second or third-round pick. Because if this guy comes in and he's hurt, what are you going to do? And the other guy, Tyler Mott, looks like he's going to get moved too. Could he be a solution to the Rangers on the fourth line again? He played well in his, he got hurt right away for the Rangers last year. I was actually at that game against Pittsburgh, but he came in the playoffs and he did exactly what they wanted him to do. Good fourth line centerman forward. Look at the Rangers fourth line now. They have 10 guys down there. They're carrying 23 guys on the roster now. That Sammy Blade's been recalled. They got Will Cooley back down there still. Leshizin obviously still around. Brodzinski did get sent back to Hartford, so he's not around. But Gautier's scratched tonight. They got Blade back in the lineup tonight. So there's a ton of guys on the fourth line. Rangers have to figure out what they're doing with that. And if Mott is a guy that's to come in, is that a Sammy Blade move out? Can you swap those two guys? We'll see. See what the Rangers do there. But he's going to be back on the market for the Rangers to take as well. And the Rangers get a little Western Conference flair this week. So we got the Flyers Monday night. Then Vancouver comes in on Wednesday for a rematch of the 94 Stanley Cup playoff. Friday night, Seattle's in town. And then they go down to Carolina on Saturday. I feel like they always play back-to-backs in Carolina. I feel like they're always on a back-to-back when they go down there. And then next week they fly out to Northwest Canada to do that swing. So we'll see a lot of Flames in Vancouver coming up here in the next couple weeks. But obviously, it's been almost 2 weeks since the Rangers have been off, so it'll be exciting to see the Rangers back in action. This is the stretch run here. You got 49 games on your belt already. You're in a playoff spot, so the Rangers got to keep it going. They got to get better at home. Only 13-9-4 at home. So, tonight, hopefully at the Garden Monday night, they get the win this week, get some W's on their belt, get that winning record up there at home. They've been great in the road, 14-5-4, but you got to get the home record up a little bit. And yeah, we have a great guest this week. We have Krzysztof Oliwa on the show, who Ranger fans probably love and hate him just because of his style of play. He's a guy who killed the Rangers with New Jersey. I feel like we talked about on the show, he dropped the gloves, I felt like every time against the Rangers. But man, this guy can tell some stories. I could have sat there all day long and talked to him and talk about some great stories from his career. Just a really great interview, really fun. Talks about his short stay with the Rangers, but man, was it entertaining. And one of the big stories in the Rangers then with the Brian Trottier Rangers was, the brawl that he had against Columbus, and he kind of was the fall guy there. So very interesting story from him to kind of get the true behind-the-scenes story of what happened for that whole incident. So very fun interview. But before we do send our interview with Krzysztof, I do want to tell you about our sponsors over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Guys, are you ready? The biggest Sunday in sports is here. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57, has the Super Bowl action you need. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get in on the Super Bowl 57 excitement with DraftKings Happy Hour Super Boosts. Check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day now between 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Pacific, obviously, adjust your time there. And see what prop bets will be boosted. Listen, Super Bowl is always the best. Prop bets are great. It keeps you going the entire game. Obviously, if some team's losing big, you can hold on to that prop bet. Heads or tails on the coin toss. Who scores the first touchdown? Who scores the last touchdown? You got every player prop in there. You can go check out DraftKings. They always have great stuff. So go and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Broadway. And new customers can bet just $5 on the Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook when you use the code Broadway. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Please see show notes for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. All right, we're now joined by a very special guest. This guy, he was a fan favorite wherever he went, or you were hated anywhere you went. The first and only Polish hockey player ever to win a Stanley Cup, Krzysztof Oliwa. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, kiddo.
I think that's fair to say. Loved and hated anywhere you went.
I'm not sure I was hated. I mean, I personally think that I was so professional about my job. Tried to do my job my best. Like the amount of work I put into it in the summertime, off-ice training especially, that even my friends that play in other teams like, hey, Oli, listen, can you just play the game today? I'm like, nah, just do your job. I talked to you after the game. So people love me, people hating me, but at the end of the day, I just was there to do my job, just perform on demand. And that's why I was very being pro about it. And that's maybe people had a certain opinions about me, but I wasn't there to have friends.
Yeah. And going back to the whole Polish thing. So obviously you grew up in Poland, born in Poland. What was your NHL experience like there? Like, what was the exposure to the NHL?
All right. So the whole NHL thing is a great story. So when I was a kid, I think I was 9 years old, very late. My friend told me that we're going to go, if I sign up for hockey, we're going to go to Switzerland in 2 weeks. Okay. So, being this kid in Poland, like never seen anything, right? I'm like, yeah, let's do hockey, right? I do hockey in the wintertime and play soccer in the summertime because everyone wants to play soccer. Mm-hmm. So I signed up for hockey and I realized within literally a couple of weeks, I'm like, everything comes naturally. Like I was really good at that. I was always the biggest kid, the tallest kid, could skate the festers, the fester, and I kind of stayed with it. I did not go to Switzerland for another 10 years. And we played at one time, we played a tournament in Zug. And one of the head coaches from the junior team from Switzerland, from Zug, and I believe he was assistant coach at the top team in Zug where, Joe Thornton played. He was from Canada. His name was Mike McNamara. Okay, he approached me, and because I always want to get out of Poland and play hockey in Germany, I was learning German for many, many years. So I was able to communicate. It was nothing great, but I was good enough to say hi, bye, thank you, goodbye, and basic stuff, right? So he said to me, he goes, Krzysztof, straight up after the game, he goes, one day you're gonna play NHL. I'm like, I don't know about that one, but I have a degree of a mechanic of mining machines. I'll go to work in coal mines 3 times a week since I was 16 till now still. And go to school twice a week and then kind of rotates. Then go 3 times to school and go to work twice, and I play hockey at 7, 8 p.m. And they tell me I'm too big to play hockey. I should just stay with the coal mine. He goes, don't worry about it, just go home and we will send you invitation to junior team in Canada and we'll go from there. At the same time was happening, there was Olympics in Lillehammer. Okay. I think it was 91.
92, yeah.
91, 92, something like that. So then I never forget that. I watched the Olympics and there's a little black and white Russian 14-inch TV. And all they talk about was Eric Lindros, Eric, the big guy, the strong guy, all those, how great he is, how powerful he is. And I kind of, I said to myself, I'm like, what? Yeah, he is big, but let me grab the encyclopedia. So I grabbed the encyclopedia and I look up the pounds, the feet, and the inches translated into the kilos and the meters and centimeters. And I just realized at the moment, I'm the same size. And the light went on. I swear to God. No, it's great. So I said to my mom, I'm like, I want to be him. I want to play NHL. That's when when Mike McNamara told me that one day play NHL, now I understood why he said that. Because I was the same size as Eric Lindros. I mean, was I as good as him? Absolutely not. Was I the same size as him? Pretty damn close. Yeah, pretty after. I'm still big. I'm still, 6'5" and 255, go to the gym 7 days a week. They're still doing it. So I started doing some crazy stuff. I was living on the 11th floor, running up and down the staircases, never took an elevator, would do 500 sit-ups outside every day, go to the gym. My ass would bleed from the crunches. I took a pill outside. Oh, it's crazy. I lost my mind. But 4 months later, Mike told me, he goes, Krzysztof, you get the invitation. I got the invitation. And then the invitation was for like 10 days or something, like there was 7 days, some stupid time, right? Like so I went to the Canadian embassy in Warsaw, my parents, and submit the invite for the visa, and they look at me like, I'm sorry, Krzysztof, like, what do you want to go? What do you want to do? He goes, I want to play hockey in Canada. They're like, I mean, are you sure about that? Because I don't think there ever Polish guy ever went to Canada to play hockey, and it wasn't. I was the first one. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, they invited me. They told me, like, I'm like, I'm good. And so, like, all right. So they gave me visa for 7 days, and like, see you soon. Make a long story short, I landed in Toronto, going to the customs, and they pulled me aside, obviously, like, what are you doing here? They're like, why are you here? I'm like, I'm here to play hockey. I had a translator and stuff. And the immigration officer goes to me, he goes, listen, kid, you can't play hockey on a visa of 7 days. Knowing what I know about hockey, one day you can play NHL. Here's your visa for 6 months. Boom. Yeah. And that's how my whole thing started. I went to play Junior B Welland Flames. One of the best experiences I ever had. And went to the tryouts. I did one lap, while touching the puck, and the general manager, Gene Sabuco, was like, the coach was Mark Forster. They're like, just sign here. Just you play. And that's how it started. Then 8 months later, I got drafted by the Devils third round, and came from Junior B, came from coal mines to Junior B to the NHL, playing the minors, and that's how and I played with number 88 at the junior level, and I can send you the picture. I actually have it here on my computer, because of Eric. Yeah,
and then Eric was on the Rangers when you got there, right?
Yes. So it was so. Well, I got traded. I played for the Penguins from 2000, 2002. I was sitting in the pool. I'll never forget that. I got a mess. I never got a call. I checked my messages, like, on my phone. 3 days later, I got a message from the GM. Hey, Oli, we traded you to Rangers. I had no idea. I'm like in a pool having a cocktail or something. And I was like, oh my God. The reason why I'm here is really because Eric was the thing. That was it. And now I'm going to protect him. Let me tell you something. I showed up in the camp, the best shape of my life. And first I saw Eric, we practiced a rye, I believe. I said, Eric, let me tell you a story. And I tell him the story. He goes, this is so cool. I'm like, you are the reason why I'm here.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was good. That was pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's awesome. And so going back to you playing in Canada for the first time, and you leave home, like you said, you go from the coal mines, and then in 1993, you get drafted in the third round by the New Jersey Devils. I mean, the journey is insane in itself, but that draft day experience, what was that like for you?
Oh, we drove to Quebec with the general manager, his son. We went there. You go the day before and get to see all the trophies and stuff, and you see the Western Conference trophy, the Eastern Conference trophy, the Stanley Cup trophy, and I have a pictures with all those trophies from day before the draft. Now I have those replicas in my living room.
Yeah, pretty good.
It's very cool. Wish I had the 2 cups, but they called the inconclusive goal in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup. I still have a big problem with it. Just so I don't forget they repeat the game every year. because it became the All NHL Classic. So, and the Game 7. So I get to see it every year from 2004. So, but yeah, no. So it's very cool. It's very nice. When I got drafted, obviously, everyone goes out, and never forget the night. Then I realized how it's going to be. Robbie Fatorik approached me afterwards at the post-draft party, if you want to call it, whatever, you know what I'm saying? He takes me aside, he goes, and my English was very so I really learned hard. I went to school. I was sitting in a class with kids that 8-9 years of age to learn how to speak English. My best friend was 9 years old, and I'm 19. Oh, it was crazy. And after school, I would go to take English second language courses, like in like a public office, to learn more. Then I would go home and basically watch commercials and in closed captions, try to memorize and write down everything, how it's been pronounced. And because I knew that's my ticket to be able to communicate and, stay here. And believe it or not, I came here with zero English, $40. 9 months later, I was drafted, and I passed driving test in English language. So, but I was so all in that's till today I tell kids similar stories that in order for you to be able to have an opportunity, no guarantees, you truly have to put it all online. Okay, and you might never get there, but you get much farther that way. That something's being in front of you and handed to you. So yeah, no, I was that was my little experience with that. So the Quebec thing was awesome, and grateful for. And I still talk to Mark Forsyth, we're still my friends, and I went to see Gene a couple years ago in Welland, and I went to see the old barn. What's his name? Matt Johnson. He played for Welland Flames.
Okay.
A year before me, yeah, he was drafted by OHL when I came in, and and again, I was never a tough guy. I never fought my life. I was just powerful forward. I was just up and down guy, never fought, never want to fight. And one of my first games in the Junior B league with the Flames, I got jumped by this kid who was just ginormous. I'm talking just huge. His name was Jake. I'm not sure his last name, but he jumped me because I was the only Polish kid that played juniors. It was just like totally out of place, right? He beat me up so bad out of why, I have no idea till today. Make a long story short, 5 years later, okay, I was scratched at the Buffalo for the Sabres game. Why I was suspended or something? I'm not sure what happened because I would never be scratched against Buffalo. I ran into this kid and he goes to me, "Oli, do you remember me?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, he's still huge." He goes, I have such a privilege to meet you again, because when he beat me up, that was the very first fight I ever had in my life. I went to buy his card and I had him sign for me on a bench. And 5 years later, when I ran into him, he had my picture, the angel, to have it signed for him.
That's cool.
I was like,
that's cool. That's full circle, huh?
Yeah, no, I was like, listen, I never wanted to fight. I was never the guy, saying it just kind of, it was my ticket to the NHL, but it was something that I wanted to do it. It was like the organization felt that was one of the best assets, because it was always the strong kid, that kid that works out tremendously hard, and would help the organization to me playing tough to win a Stanley Cup, and we did. We won 2000, so it worked. So that's what matters.
I think the crazy thing about that whole thing is you never fought, and then you go right from Junior B to the American Hockey League and the ECHL the next year, which is a complete jungle of animals. And I'm sure they look at the list and they see a young kid, 6'5", 220, and you immediately stick out. And I'm sure you were a target for a lot of guys.
Oh, I was a target all the time. I mean, there was my first year we played. There was a Dennis Bonvy just to start with one guy. I think he TKO'd me 3 times one game. I was like, all right, I guess I need to learn how to fight. I never want to fight. Like that was not my thing. One of the reasons why I never really played the amount of ice time I wanted to play for the first 3 years in minors is because I never wanted to be the guy. I wanted to play hockey. And, it took me 3 years to realize, all right, maybe I'm not going to be, Mario. Now I'm going to be Randy McKay and Bobby Holig, all those guys, which I have a story for that in a second. But I need to do something different. Okay. So Robbie Fedorov was a coach, one of my all-time favorites. Okay. I mean, they're all psychopaths. I mean, let's just leave it as that. They're all crazy. I mean, I'm crazy myself. We all, no one is right in this business. Okay. You got to do something extremely different to be here. Okay. So Robbie Fedorov goes to me like every year, January 18th, never forget the day. He goes to me, hey, Oli, come in the office. All right, there I go. It's never good, right? He goes, what kind of player are you going to be when you get to the NHL? I'm like, I don't know. Bobby Holik? Okay. He goes, why don't you go pack up your shit and go to Raleigh, North Carolina, and play for the East Coast Hockey League team? I'm like, what the fuck did I say wrong now? He goes, just go. I went to whatever. Next year, January 18th. Oh, at the same time. Hey, Oli, what kind of player are you going to be when you make to the NHL? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I don't know. Randy McKay. He goes, go pack up your shit and go to Raleigh. I'm like, that's bullshit. Third year, he was to me the same thing. I said, I don't know, Claude Lemieux, Robbie, fuck off, straight up. I mean, I love you as a coach, but I mean, are you kidding me right now? He was actually going to loan you out to the Calgary Flames farm team in St. John, New Brunswick. Way out the hell out. So you maybe figure out then. I'm like, wow. I went there. Came back. Robbie got called up. Robbie got promoted to Devils as a head coach. And John Conov and Red Jen, rest in peace, both those guys, two another next level psychopaths, but one of the best coaches. Those guys were scary. Like John was scary. Red was even more scary. Those guys were straight up scariest guys I've ever met in my life. I was petrified of them. They had no problem to stand over your head with a hot cup of coffee between periods and telling you how you're gonna play. So those guys came in, and it goes to me, Oli, you're going to play with Patrick Ilej and Peter Shikora on the first line. But that was not till after I got a call from Marie from the Devil's office, not just me, the whole team got, that we're going to play golf. Lou wants us to go to play golf in Lake Nona, Florida, for a couple of weeks and do some workouts. Well, that was not much. That was golf there, but we went to basic training for 2 weeks straight. Oh, it's the hardest thing of my life. But coming from that, it put a totally different perspective, which I till today do with my youth kids. I train them so hard, a point of no return. The mindset changes. Everything changes. It rewires everything of you going forward. So after this camp, I came home. I was like, I'm playing NHL next year. There's no way. There's not a way. If I can do this, the making to the NHL is easy, because that was the hardest thing in my life. It was like the warm-up. It's like the morning warm-up was 5 miles in the forest with 100% humidity. It was just ridiculous. It's so hot. It's so humid, right? So we did that. So, John and Red goes to me, oh, you're going to play with Patrick Ilej, Peter Shikora. So I had, the year with the playoffs, I had 21 goals, I believe, give and take. I had like 345 missed penalties. And I was voted by the coaching staff of the AHL the most, I think that's an article somewhere here, the most improved player in American Hockey League. I got called up by the Devils for a couple games, but of course, left my tag on the back from being in Newfie somewhere playing there way out there. So my bag went wrong place. So I didn't get to play the first game. So I got against the Islanders. So the second game, I got to play against Buffalo. On a warm-up, skating around, pregame skate, and Robbie goes to me. Now he's the head coach, right? He goes, "Hey, Oli, come here." I'm like, "Really?" And he goes to me, "So, Oli, so since now you're in NHL, what kind of player are you?" And he goes to me, I said to him, I say, "You know what? Number one, like, F off for everything you've done. But number two, I love you. But number three, I'm the kid. I'm the player that everybody wants to be." He goes, "That's right, kiddo. Welcome to the NHL." But it took me quite a time to realize who I am as a person, as a player, and how I can best contribute to organization I'm playing for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, and that's how the whole thing started. So I got a couple games, couple coffee at the NHL level, and next year I was the Devils protected me and kind of stayed there. So.
That first game, you dropped the gloves too in the first period. Is that something that you had planned on going in, that you want to kind of make an impact?
I mean, yeah, they had that was against Bob Bugner, the boogeyman.
Tough customer.
Yeah, the problem with the whole fight was that I have you remember the name what's his name was I broke my fifth bone about 2 months earlier in a fight against Oduya. Remember Oduya?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he played in the minors. I think he played, I don't know if it was, I don't know what team was playing on in 96. But I was streaky. I was like a 10, 11 fight in a row. I'm like, this is great, And I said to myself before the game, this is kind of crazy that I've never got hurt or broke my arm or hand yet. So here I'm fighting Oduya, and a punch was straight in the head, in the forehead, broke my fifth bone. So when I got the call from, although I was already back in the lineup, which was already second game back in the lineup for my broken hand, I truly, Red asked me, "Okay, Oli, are you be able to fight?" I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Oh, you got called up." I'm like, "Yes." Whatever. So never forget that when I was the day of the game against Buffalo, they had Ray, they had May, they had Barney in the lineup, Bugner in the lineup. I mean, they had a tough team back in the days, right? I never forget because my hand hurt so bad because it's just 6 weeks. There's not enough to heal a bone, right? It's healed, but it's just the pain of it. I had my hands for 2 days in the ice buckets. I was laying in my bed before the game, could not sleep. I swear to God, if someone videotaped it, I felt like I was drowning in my own sweat. So, when I got in the game, when I get to warm up, I just wanted to send a message. I'm here to stay. So I fought Boogeyman that we kind of flip at the end of the fight by the boards. It was good. I had a good hit. The second shift, I had there was a Brian Rosso coming up the boards, giving me a nice back and sauce. I hit a pose on Hasek, and I think that was my game. I think I played 2 or 3 shifts the game. But at that time, I won't lie to you, if I never played another NHL game, I'll be okay with that. It was just so cool. It's just like this next
level. So the fight was the first shift?
Yes.
First shift in the NHL. That's pretty great.
Yeah. There was I basically you can look it up, Oliwa versus Bugner. So it's there was on a big hit and we just kind of dropped it and it was good. I mean, I'm sure they expected me. I got called up just for that.
Yeah.
Basically. And I think what's his name? Mike Pelusa wasn't playing that night. Well, he was. I'm not really sure to remember, but yeah, that was there for. I mean, listen, Lou liked the team to be tough, and I don't blame him because if I was the coach, I was the GM, I don't want anybody to touch my guys.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. The game changed now, but I don't know for the better for not, but it's still part of the game.
Yeah. I mean, you made your impact next year. You were a full-time NHLer. And not only were you full time, you put up 295 penalty minutes, which was the Devils' record. So you were making sure that everyone knew that you were out there doing your job.
Yes, but I gotta say to you one thing. So I broke Ken Denico all-time single season penalty minutes record. He, I think, at 284. And I never forget that. And that was against Stu Grimson. And Stu goes to me, Oli, congratulations. He was one of those guys that I have to say to you, scary. Because he would like line up in the face-off. I'm like, Stu, we got to go. He goes, hi, Krzysztof. How are you today? How is your family? But if you really like to dance, we can dance if you like. It's like, what? It's like, what are you talking about? He was just so politically correct. You were like, you want to have a coffee instead? I mean, literally, so it was scary. That was scary because I broke the record, Dano's record in Carolina against him, and I was like pounding him. And next thing you know, I lost the grip. He almost killed me at the end. That guy was big. But then there was the last game of the year. We played Florida, and big Peter Worrell. I said, listen, we got to go, man. I got to get my 300 there. He goes, nope. I tried so hard to get the extra 5, and he would not drop it. And it was last game of the year, and he would not go. And so I got stuck with the 295. I think I had 34 5s the year.
Oh,
crazy.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, I did. There was a lot of those. When I came in the league, guys like Maxoli, not a guy who was unpredictable. Yeah, that was very that was tough. That was a tough years back in the days.
How about just your offensive skill? You scored your first NHL goal as well that year against the Rangers and Mike Richter.
I have it right here. It says first NHL goal, March 7th, game-winning goal. Let's don't forget that one. Against Mark Richter, third period, 10:05.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty. Was it at MSG or was that at
No, it was at home.
Is at home? Okay, that's pretty cool.
You always dream about your first goal. I think I didn't score for like 40 games or something stupid like that. And if you look at the goal I scored, like you always want to tell the kids the story. Yeah, I went coast to coast. I danced this guy. I almost broke his ankle and top cheese at him. No, it wasn't like that. It was 2-on-2. Sergei Brin took the puck wide, shot it at Richter off the goal line just about. The puck trickled on the goal line behind Mike, and I basically used my 2x4 Vic stick. I almost broke his hand just to shove the sucker in. So, listen, they don't ask how, that's how many. So that was good.
Later on in life, we can tell that as you went coast to coast. You dance Leach at the blue line, and then you faked Richter out.
I spiced out a couple of times. Well, just make it better. But you know what? I do have. Listen to this. I have because I train kids in the summertime through my Oliwa Shred Zone camps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've been doing this for a long time, and the stick I scored my first NHL goal with, I have in my trailer. And the first hat trick I ever had in my life, it was coming after my broken hand, because I was such a great shape. I had the same stick I have in a trailer. So I tell the kids the story behind it, and like, this is so cool. And they jumping over the stick. They feel like, how did you play with this thing? This thing is 100 pounds. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. Those things are so heavy.
Yeah, imagine being the guy against you getting slashed.
Oh, I know. I mean, this is like a weapon almost. That's crazy.
Two-hand chops are a little different back in the day.
So most guys have the first NHL sticks on the walls. My first NHL goal stick and the first hat trick I ever had in the minors in the pro hockey. Both those sticks I have in the trailer when I train my kids, so I can get down the story, I can feel and touch it. This is good stuff for the kids.
That's cool. Those Devils teams were legendary, unbelievable teams. I mean, every year you guys had a chance to win the Stanley Cup, and you guys did in 99, 2000. How special was that season?
It was. I blow my knee out last game of the year, so I didn't get the chance to play in the playoffs. But obviously I was the all way, and it it's the most exciting. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to say when you win. You're just happy you're part of it. Okay. My biggest thing after the year, because once you experience the feeling, the adrenaline, the opportunity to say that you were part of winning team and you won the cup, there's nothing else you want more but win another one. Okay. And I almost did with the Calgary Flames.
Yeah.
Okay. In 2003, Daryl called me. He says, I got bought out from Bruins that year. Robbie was the coach over there. Which is going back to, so Robbie, when I got traded from the Rangers, which we'll go back to this, I got bought out from the Bruins, and Daryl called me and goes, Oli, if I bring you to Calgary Flames, what do we get? Remember that I think the Flames were like the worst team in the league the year before. They're like the bottom of the bottom, right? I'm like, oh, I will lead the league in fights. He goes, I will be the biggest leader on and off the ice. And we're going to play for Stanley Cup. And we will win. We will win Stanley Cup. Now he goes to me, Oli, you're more fucked up than I thought you are. Welcome aboard. He goes, just get on a flight, just come here. You in. Yeah, that's how it went. Literally, almost, yeah. I'm like, done. Oh, I led the league in fights. I was the leader on and off the ice. And we played Game 7 of Stanley Cup, and we came short by a goal. And we lost. I mean, we were almost there. We lost Game 6, which we led the series 3-2 in double overtime. So, you know, winning a cup and losing cup, I'm going to tell you one thing. I don't wish my worst enemy to get this far in any sports and lose it. This is probably when I stay in the game, remain in the game, to pass around the story, to help the kids understand that winning or losing today, the emotions of it, the feelings, they're no different than losing and winning Stanley Cup. So if you want to be successful going forward and win the big one day, you have to approach it as the big one today, not tomorrow. Because if like your tears are the same when you lose, and your tears are the same when you lose the cup. Stanley Cup. There's no difference. But you know, that's something you learn over time, and you understand better how to control the emotions, how to get it done. So
it's a great lesson to teach young kids too as they come along.
Oh yeah, I love it. No, and it truly, you know, everyone I talk to, like, hey, Oli, how you doing? I'm like, listen, man, you're living the dream, man. Is that oh, it's crazy. Yeah. It's next level stuff. Yeah. But I love it. I do like it, pass it on. I like the process, you know. Always tell the parents, the kids, listen, there's no guarantees in life. Definitely not in sports. There is no blueprint for your success. Every player's success is very much different from another. And if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. You know, it takes time, dedication. The game is invented. You cannot reinvent the game. You can only make it faster, just like a wheel, right? You can reinvent the wheel. And it's a process. The earlier you start, and you know, the better you are. And what I've learned in the game, guys like myself and other guys, you learn all those years. If you can deliver to kids at age 12, age 13, they don't know any better. So they grow up with this. Where me, for example, I didn't learn stuff till 20. I mean, it took me a long time to learn a game. Like, give you another example. I went from the junior B to go to the Devil's Camp. And here we are playing the first exhibition game against the Islanders. And Jacques goes to me, oh, you're going to be on a PP. I'm like, okay. Remember, I want to be a player. So I go to Niedermeyer. I'm like, Nieder, listen, leave the puck behind the net. I got it. I swear to God, that's the finest thing. He goes, Oli, really? I'm like, I got it. Leave the puck behind the net. So he go double swing with something. I don't know what the breakup was. And I picked the puck behind the net. I almost got to the red line, I believe. Didn't lose the puck. I did get the puck in, but we didn't get on a forecheck fast enough. They shut the puck out. I go for a change, and Jacques goes to me, Oli, if you ever touch the puck in a power play, you never gonna play here. And ever since then, I've never really tried to touch the puck in a power play. Although I did score, I think 3 or 4 goals in a power play the time I played, but I've tried never touch the puck outside of the corners and tip in front of net, and that was it.
So put that big 6'5" frame right in front of the goalie and
yeah. Now listen, can I just say I wish I could play now because there's nothing you can do. Back in the days, the guys would bag your neck. There was no penalties.
Yeah. Like you said, everyone had 2x4s or slashing with too.
Yeah, no, that was dangerous. Now it's like, anyone can go to the front net. If you don't box these guys out before they get to the front net, you got a problem. You can't get them out. So I mean, the deal, obviously everything's different. They're much better, and the tremendous skaters. Everyone can skate, everyone can play. Game is different. There's no question about it. But back in our days, you were going front net. Yeah, you pay the price.
I got to ask you about your days in Pittsburgh there, playing with Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr. How special was those two guys to see up close?
Yeah, very different. Again, I watched Mario, going back to the Lindros story on my little black and white TV. Remember Mario got split those 2D against Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
I watched it in Poland. And I was like, and I tried to recreate this move 10,000 times. It never worked. I tried so many times, inside, outside, and here I am with Mario. And I said, "Ace, we got to." And I got traded when I was rehabbing from my broken humerus. I broke in Columbus. I was in rehab in California for 3 months, getting better, and I got traded when Mario came back from retirement. They played, I think, week earlier. There was a big fiasco in the Islanders. Were carrying them off of Mario and stuff. That's when they made a big trade. When they got me, they got McKenna, and they got Wayne Primo to help them and make sure that nothing happens, right? So I got to the game, set on top, and the game Mario had 3 goals, and one of them came a one-timer on a power play from goal line. I'm like, how is this even possible? You know what I'm talking about? I mean, try to do it. You just can't do it, right? So I talked to him after the game, and he was definitely different. And the Jagr, I play against Jagr at youth 16 level, national team, at the youth 18 level. I play against Jagr under 20 in Prešov, against Jagr, Kovalev, Straka, all those guys I'm here in Pittsburgh now. I play against them back in my days in Europe, growing up. Alexei Kovalev, in the tournament, the pressure we thought that he playing NHL. This kid skated with the puck. No one could take the puck away from him. He had this one move, right and left. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. So now I'm with those guys, Kasparaitis. So I'm like, how is it possible? And Jagr's still playing. That is the most crazy thing. Like, how is it possible? Listen, I'm in shape. I gotta say, I take lots of pride in my daily routine. I eat tremendously well. My worst thing in my fridge, I think, is hummus, if I pronounce it right. Work out every day, train. I'm gonna be 50, literally T-minus 2 months and 20 days. And I wanted to make this, special for myself. And at the same time, I try to, be example for my boys. I represent with JDM Sports, and when I train, I want to show that although I've been and done, I'm still doing it. It's a way of life. It's not something that you just do it because someone tells you to do it. It's a lifestyle. And with a great results, and other kids loving it. Some people hating me because they don't like me because whatever. But that's what I do. I take tremendous pride of it. But Jagr, I'll get tell you one thing. I watched Mario, Jags, and Kevin Stevens one day after practice riding bikes. okay, in a practice facility in Pittsburgh. And I was just kind of going to the training rooms up to the side. We're going to the training room, and I'm in the training room icing something, and I'm like, what is this noise? It looked like something's falling apart, like something's breaking it. So I went to the training room, and I see Yax, Mario, and Kevin Stevens riding the bike. It was, when you look at those guys riding the bikes, the bikes look like they're falling apart, like the screws coming out. I was like, I've never seen anything like this. Their legs, those three guys' legs, they were so ginormous. Mario's legs are so big. Yag's legs are so huge. And Kevin Stevens, they would ride the bike for half an hour, and they would go ice the legs for another half an hour. Huge iceberg. They were so enormous. And that's why those guys were so good, because the leg strength, unfortunately, is the name of the game. Look at Martin St. Louis, another freak, right? For example, we lost the cup because of this guy. He's freaking 5'8", buck 75, or whatever he's, buck 80. But his legs are half the weight. And that's what I'm trying to preach. I try to, address the same thing with the kids. And I'm pushing the agenda of, listen, if you want to have an opportunity, whatever the opportunity might arise for you going forward, you have to be ready when you get the call, because you can never get ready when you get the call. And that's it. So you can put the work in, or you don't. There's nothing in between.
Yager is crazy. I mean, it's still going. The highlights still come out of him now, and the jokes. When does he get actually retire and be? They can't even put him in the Hall of Fame yet because he's not retired yet. So he's gonna be 80 years old to go in the Hall of Fame. Finally hanging it up.
Yeah. So listen, we played. I scored only one goal with the Penguins. We played in Forum. Is it Forum in Montreal? No, it's
Montreal Forum. Yeah.
It's Forum. Yeah. I get on the ice, and who was our coach? Hlinka, I think.
Jan Hlinka, yeah.
And the assistant coach was God. Hold on a second. Whatever. He was only you, Mario, go on the ice, and Sheldon Sorare was on the ice, and he was playing as Mario, and me and Shelly played in the minors in Albany and New Jersey for several years, right? But I got on the ice not to play with Mario and Yager. I got on the ice to take care of Shelly. So I don't get Shelly. I'm like, Shelly, we gotta go, man. You can't do this shit, man. What are you doing? He goes, oh, he stopped. No. So I kind of cross-checked him, went after him. He kind of skated away. Next thing you know, Yager passes the puck to Mario. Mario sasses me from behind the net. Sass to my blade, to a goalie crease. Tap in, open net. Doesn't get any better than that.
No.
That's like, I can retire today. And then I think someone sent me a card out of this hockey card. I have people send me stuff all the time. It says a riding shotgun, me and Mary on a card. So I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to be with those guys. I've learned so much. And I truly now just try to pass it on to the youth kids. And I really wish they would pay more attention, because they're the problem nowadays, I think, is with those kids and parents, their perception on the game. For guys like us, it's a reality because we lived through it. They learn the game from the rinks and hallways and buses, internet. We kind of went through it. And there's much more to it than just put a skates on and just play the game. But it's just a different generation. The game's changed, obviously. It's no longer the dumb and chase, but at the same time, the game is still game of hockey. So, and it will never change. So there's some principles of it that wish more kids would follow. Listen more, because if you don't, the one who's going to decide when your career starts. And unless you McDavid, you Yager and Mario, the guy who will decide when your career ends.
And then, and I gotta talk about your Ranger tenure. And actually, with the Rangers in Pittsburgh, both those teams, big rivals of the Devils, obviously in the same division. Was it weird putting on those jerseys? Was it kind of like all those years in New Jersey, and you're kind of like, oh
listen,
man.
I didn't ask to be traded to the Rangers, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, me and my ex-wife lived in West Orange, New Jersey. I got traded from Columbus while I was rehabbing my arm to Pittsburgh, and we put our house for sale. Now we had a 9/11, so we bought a house in Pittsburgh, thinking our house was going to sell in overnight. That's what the kind of market was. And 9/11 happened, and here we have 2 houses, mortgages to pay. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever. It's just like, how is this even possible? To make it even worse, finally we selling the house in 2002. We have a contract, deposit, everything's going through. I just find out from my voicemail that got traded back to East Coast. So now I wasn't a lot of money, but I had to buy the contract back basically for like 10 grand or something stupid like that to move it back into my own house. It's nonsense. But yeah, no, I didn't ask to be traded for the Rangers, and be honest with you, it is not an easy ride to get to the practice facility. Then you go on a game days, you have to go from the rink. You stay downtown New York City, across the street from MSG. I don't care how good sleeper you are. You hear the cars driving. Oh, it was not my thing. But I learned the very first time that you can never go home and drive to the game, because the very first game I went to the game, I was basically late because I was in the Lincoln Tunnel for like an hour and a half. It's you need to love the life of live in a city. You literally almost have to live there. It's difficult, but if you can adjust to that, it's probably a great experience. Yeah.
We talked about the Lindros thing, but yeah, that Rangers team was loaded with veterans, and you were brought in, another vet brought in that year. That team was tough as nails, but whatever reason those years they could never get over the hump, even with all the big contracts and big players they brought in.
No, we had, Sandy McCarty was on the team, Barnaby was on the team, Purington was on the team.
Yeah.
Messier, you got, everyone was on the team, right? It's just like Brian Leach and you name it, right? We had it. But that's not always how you win, right? It's always it's a very different species as far as the winning the cup, right? It's there's a lot of moving parts to the game, a lot of sometimes could be as good as one missing piece, and sometimes you have to rebuild, right? And I always tell my players, as a player, as good as your last shift, team as good as your last game, organization as good as your last championship, ownership group as good as how many championships you've won.
Yeah.
And it's a process, right? This is not about winning today, but if you can win once every 10 years, 15, 20 years, it's just as good as winning every year, because no one remembers the year 20 years before. No one cares. So it's I was just grateful to be part of it. I had the opportunity to go to Mark Messier resort in Bahamas a few years back. Yeah, that's like nice. Recommended. It's very nice. The sand is pink. It was very nice. There's a couple of days spent there. And we're friends. So and we, again, we had this fiasco you mentioned earlier with Columbus.
Yeah.
Which started, I didn't get to it. We started earlier. Where, remember, I played for Columbus in the expansion when they came in the league. I got traded for the Devils to Columbus, me and Lai Orline. And then I broke my humerus in a half, and they traded me and brought Jody Shelley to Columbus. Tough as nails. But didn't take this lightly, to say the least. Okay. Can't say I'm vindictive, but I don't forget. Okay. So Jody Shelley in the preseason game, he was running around, go after Malakoff, which was our best defenseman outside Brian Leach. You just can't do that. So the game we played, we were losing the game. I think it was like 5-1 or 6-1, whatever the score was. And I think I sent you the link of it too, so you get to see it. And was 3 seconds left in the game. And Brian Tracci goes to me, Sandy, and Barnaby. You guys go take the face off. 3 seconds left. We on a power play, 5-on-3, I believe, or 5-on-4. And I think the Columbus Blue Jackets only put 3 guys on the ice, not even 4. Shelley got kicked out from the game for something stupid. Early in the same game, he sucker punched. He broke my nose from behind, and he never got a penalty for that. Or maybe no, we did. We got 5 minutes for fighting, because I never even threw a punch. He broke my nose the game, so we in a face-off. It was a commercial, and the ref Fraser goes to me, "Hey, Oli, who's taking the face-off?" I'm like, "I am." Because why are you taking the face-off? I'm like, "Who would you like to have the face-off, the McCarty or Barnaby?" He goes, "If you guys do anything stupid," you know the movie what do you call it?
Slapshot.
Yes, something just straight out of Slapshot. He goes, "If you guys do anything stupid, I will suspend you guys. I throw the books at the organization, the coach. I suspend everyone." I'm like, do you really think we would do anything stupid 3 seconds left in the game? He goes, "No." That's my point. To make a long story short, the commercial, end of commercial, and I said to Sandy, I'm like, "Mag, I'm like, if we don't do anything, we screwed. If we do something, we screwed." He goes, "Yeah, we should." What do we do? Fuck it, let's do it. And Graham Marshall is not taking the face-off for Columbus, and kind of were mayhem from there. So maybe I was wrong, maybe didn't. Was a good fight. We all were fighting. Everyone wasn't fighting on the ice. I got 5 games. I think McCarty got 3 games. Barnaby got 2 games. Tracci got 3 games. The team got $50,000 fine. And I got sent out to minors because of that, to Hartford.
Yeah, you're the scapegoat, that whole thing.
Yeah, no, I basically, listen, if I would just play out the 3 seconds, I'll probably get traded in the morning or released or whatever, put on waivers. If I do something, it's just as bad, but at least I did my job, right? Do the best I could at the moment, what I felt was necessary to send a message to the other team. Did I want to be in this position? Absolutely not. But, what are you going to do, right?
So, yeah, I mean, looking back on it, kind of probably wish Trottier probably put out on the line than you guys. And he obviously knew what he was doing, putting out you 3 and you taking a face off.
Yeah, I took a face off.
Yeah, I mean,
like, what do you do? And they put in Graham Marshall, who's a friend of mine. He, obviously, and who I got traded for No, that was a Graham Marshall, different. So Marshall ended up playing for the Devils. So I see Marshall all the time. So we friends. But Marshall was the second toughest guy on the team outside Jody Shelley. So what do you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So
it's a zero. It's a no-win situation.
Listen, if Columbus, Dave King would put a different guy in a face-off, probably nothing would happen. But they initiated the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Shelley was gone. They didn't have to put a Marshall on the ice. There's no reason for it, right? So whatever. So that because of this fight, the NHL changed the entire rules of there is no more fighting last 10 minutes of the game. That was the game. So when going back a few minutes, when I told you when Daryl called me, he goes, "What I get, Oli, from you?" I said to him, "I will have the most fights in the league, blah, blah, blah." And he goes to me, like, "How are you going to do that you can't fight at the end of the game. I'm like, I know, Daryl. They changed the rules because of me. I'm just going after every guy on first shift. And that's what he said. You're more crazy than I thought you are. Okay, welcome aboard. So, and I did. We did it, and that was a scary thing when that was one. Our demeanor was basically any team that comes in to play us, we go after them for a shift. So it's a bad feeling knowing that you step on the ice and you have a guy who is 6'5", 250 looking for you.
To set a tone for the rest of the game, not to mess around.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's like, because I know, like, let me tell you something. There is nothing more. I mean, I trained for it. I boxed for 8 years. I trained like a machine to do my job. No question about it. But you still, try to have a nap before the game, and you have a big Pete Worrell or Grimson looking for you 5 hours later.
Yeah, it can't be fun. That can't be fun.
You can't function. And in order to function, you have to truly be elite athlete and be prepare yourself physically and mentally. Put yourself to extreme stress, physical stress especially. So when you get in let's call it the not even the game, when you get into the stage, you are just a performer. You perform on demand, switch on, switch off, and that's it. So you have to become an actor at that point. So you are able to control some of the emotions so you can get the job done. Something that most people cannot do, but I've learned how to do it. And that's scary.
Mm-hmm. Now, what did Sather say to you after that? Because obviously you got sent down and you got traded to Boston.
So that's a good one. So I got sent down to minors, and we played. And Nick Fetty was the head coach there, and what was the coach? Nick Fetty and I know I had to hear something pull up. And Ryan McGill. Okay, they were the coaches there, and we played. I don't know who we played. We were winning like 4-1 or something. Okay. And I went there. If you look at my statistics, I think I don't think I score a goal. I tried to be a player because Brian Trachy goes to me before he sent me down. He goes to me, "Hey, Oli, come and talk to me." I'm going. So I'm going to send you down to minors because your fighting is not there. Okay. You know what I told him? I said, I wonder how many times you drop your balls in your life. And that was it. So when he told me this, I got sent down for the first time, a long time in minors. For the first time, basically, like since I got to the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
And because I got a 5-game suspension, that's not a thing. I couldn't play in the NHL, so that wouldn't just play, which is nothing wrong with it. So I went to Hartford, and I said, you know what? I'm going to be a player again. So I just got myself a new stick, one-piece stick that came out, just to try to be fancy. So we played in Hartford, and one of the Boston Bruins scouts approaches me after second period. He goes, "Oli, come here for a second." He goes, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a player." He goes, "Oli, just go out to do your job. Okay, I'm here. We want you. So go do your job." So the third period, I went on a forecheck, and this one kid, European kid, I don't know, big kid, 6'6", 6'7", hammers me in the corner. I go to the net, and he elbows me straight in my nose. Remember Ty Domi sucker punch somebody else in front of that? So I kind of pull out Ty Domi. I got two minutes for instigating, for roughing, 5 minutes misconduct, 10 minutes misconduct, game misconduct. I got every misconduct possible the game. We almost lost the game. But the next day I got traded to Boston. I'm back in the game. I'm like, that was easy. And
the sucker punch 6'7" guy, and I'm back.
That's what I got. Yeah, I mean, listen, that guy broke my nose, literally. I mean, that's really, dude. Like, seriously, like you get the wrong guy. Don't elbow me in the face. And so I go to Boston. We played the Bruins, and I make my sticks and stuff, and about to go on the ice for the warm up. And Robbie goes to me. Robbie's the coach down in Boston. my Robbie Fitoret. And Robbie goes, hey, Oli, show me your sticks. He's always after my sticks. I'm like, Robbie, really? Come on, man. Okay. This is not 93. It's 2003. Just spare me, my stick thing. Take my sticks, break some all in front of me. Game time. My first game, Bruins. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, do you think George Thornton is a good player? Yeah, he's pretty good. Grab his stick. Oh, by the way, you won't need it tonight. Just drop it. Swear to God, I had one shift that game. Rest in peace, Wade Bilak, that we had so many battles together. I had a one shift. I dropped the stick. We had a great fight. And that was my first game as a Boston Bruins at the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm like, till today, I have the same pattern as Joe Thornton. I remain with it, and I stuck with it.
There you go. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's a great stick. It's a big blade. It's a big blade, gray blade, and got used to it, and I love it.
It's worked pretty well for him. Another guy who's still. I don't know where he's still going somewhere. I think he's still playing somewhere.
Is it Florida? No, Florida. No.
He was with the Panthers. I don't know if he's with Panthers. He was playing over in Switzerland again. I don't know. He's another guy who's probably not going to ever retire. He's in incredible shape too.
Yeah, but then look at his legs. Everything is huge. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Those guys that remain the longest are tremendous athletes. You have to be an athlete. There's no other way around it. I wish there was, different solution, different, but there isn't.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I gotta ask you this question because we were joking before how when you were the Devils, I did not like you because you just killed the Rangers. You crushed. You would fight you beat up Darren Langdon every time we played you. It felt like every time the Rangers and Devils played, you fought Langdon sometime. I guess what was that rivalry like between you two? Because I felt like that was a heated one.
Oh, it all started off in the minors. He played for Bimington. Okay, they had Chris and Peter Ferraro.
Mm-hmm.
Those two guys are, one of the best hockey players I've ever seen playing. I mean, you couldn't tell who is who, which one is what. It's just the most ridiculous thing. It's just like they're scoring 120 points every game, every year. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and he was. We played Bimington and Aronda 20 times a year. So it's like it was just never-ending thing, right? I was 12 times I think played him. So it all started in the minors, and I enjoyed it. We had it was nice, and it was. Lou absolutely hated the Rangers. I'm not talking like don't like the Rangers. He hated the Rangers at all costs. So we had a great battles, and so I had my my finger. Look at my fingers all messed up. We played in Calgary against Montreal, and Langdon was a Montreal team. And it was right before the playoffs in 2003 or 4 season when we had the Stanley Cup run. We got a fight, great fight, but I cut his forehead. He tells the referee that I cross-check in the face. Okay. Which I have not, but cost me 20 grand and 3 years suspension. Or it might be even more, I think. It was like I have this, they still have the
invoice.
Letter.
The invoice.
I have it, yeah, I swear to God. I do. I'm like, so I just don't forget. So we end up playing in Montreal, and I said, that's free shit. I just can't help myself. So I went after him, and I was throwing lefts, and I just caught him wrong, and I tore my ligament. So it not just cost me suspension, money, busted my finger on top of him. So I can say, we had a good battles, and but if you ask me again, if I had to do it again, start over my career, I would probably not do that. Yeah, it's not advisable.
Another guy I got to ask you about, Ty Domi. You had some great fights with him too.
And I got a good story for that one too. So 1992-93 season of the Wild Flames, my general manager brought me to the old Maple Leafs Garden. We had a gold seat behind Felix Potvin, and they played San Jose Sharks that night. That might have been the first year of the
Sharks,
I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Right around the 92, yeah.
Yeah, so that was 92-93, yeah. And I never forget walking to the barn. I'm like, wow, this is just the coolest thing I played. It was my first NHL game. So I'm sitting and I see those guys just like this. I never seen anything like this, number one, right? Live. And then I see Domi just run around, they fought some guy. And my manager goes to me, goes, Oli, one day you're gonna be in the center of the ice. You're gonna line up against Domi and you gotta take him. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Why would I fight this guy? That guy is nuts. I mean, he is just nuts. I don't want to fight this guy. Why do I want to fight this guy? Fast forward. 97. 4 years later, I am in the Maple Leafs Garden on a face-off, lying against a tie. I'm like, Ty, listen, I'm not going to say what I said, but I said, we got to go. And I will explain it later. So we had a good spiel, good fight. And we're in a thing, and in the penalty boxes, I said, Ty, can I tell you a story? I'm like, Oli, that is just messed up. Because I was waiting for this for 4 years to go after you. I said right there behind Potfin's net. He was just crazy. I'm like, yeah. So it's just, so seeing kids nowadays coming up the storage, they went to see playing those guys, and because that's all it takes. It takes the little spark, it changes everything, right? So that's why I'm so like, when I work now with kids, although there's no such a thing as a quick fix, but sometimes what you say to those kids, put in touch with somebody or whatever, it might change their entire careers. And that's what it's so nice to see. And you can't help them all, right? You can't, it just doesn't work. But if I can help 1 out of 100, it's well worth it.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you find that one little thing that connects them. It can help them go tremendously.
And I'm talking Major League, right? And
Yeah.
I'm talking here, go to the top.
Yeah.
There's only 700 players in the world. You have 7 billion people on the planet, so you do the math.
It's a small percentage, yeah. What's your take on fighting now in the NHL? What do you think about the current state of fighting?
There's some big boys, no question about it. And what, like, the game has changed so much. Like back in the days when you were the 3rd line player, 4th line player, you were like the plug, right? You were the dump and chase guy. You were the physical player, the momentum changing guy. And now you have a 4th-line player as the first rounders.
I know.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But at the same time, that you still see guys doing stupid stuff. Okay. And because, you can't do much about it a lot of times, and I believe that until someone gets really hurt one day, nothing's going to change much. But it's only a matter of time when someone does a really stupid, and where players cannot protect themselves, the referee cannot do nothing about it, things might not change. And listen, am I for fighting? Absolutely not. I think I had so many concussions, and it's not until you retire you see the consequences of that. Okay. Which is a completely different topic. But definitely, if people can say whatever they want, go look at the pictures of the fights and look at the people behind the glass.
I know people still love. I mean,
people
go to games. People go to games to hope for a fight. Still, it's like going to a NASCAR race and hope for a crash.
That's what I'm saying. So there's people you can say, "Oh, it's not good," this and that, but then just look at the people behind the glass, and you can win the game 10-0, but you have a good fight. They're going to talk about the fight all day long.
Yeah, I mean, you've done it many times. You go to MSG, you drop the glove to center ice. That entire arena is on its feet screaming.
Oh yeah, it's A, entertaining, B, it's just like, and you're so in the zone, so you really don't pay attention. There's 20,000 people plus in the building, right? But you're there to like, okay, I don't want to get my ass, smoked here because it's televised worldwide. Last thing you want to do. But yeah, listen, I personally think that the fighting should be not necessarily to be promoted of sort, but when you have guys in the team where will keep you in check, it does help.
Mm-hmm.
As long as those guys don't do some stupid stuff to players where they're truly not in position to even defend themselves. Which without saying names.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think it's a good thing to have guys on the team. I'm all for it. Playing physical, hockey's, up and down hockey. A lot of times you need to do that. A lot of times you just can't win. You have to go back to basics and start over. But at the same time, it's if you can't win, let's try to at least play hard, physical.
Yeah.
And you build on that, forget the game, and move on to next game. But I think it's important to be able to have guys watch your back, because just you never know. You can't predict the future. You don't know what would happen if those guys were not in a lineup. I can tell you one thing: the chances are that if those guys are in the lineup, and especially those guys can play on top of it, the chances are nothing's going to happen, or it's going to happen something less.
Yeah. It's better to have it than not, right? It's, look at the Ranger situation a couple of years ago. They didn't have it, and they had the whole situation with Tom Wilson. And then now they have it, and then they don't have an issue with it anymore.
That's what I'm saying. So it's there's people that like the idea, people that don't. A lot of times those guys can be the game changer, and a lot of times the guys could be, it's a problem. I know myself because I've been on both sides of the wheel of fortune, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just, you do your job, it's great. You don't do your job, it's not good, or vice versa. It can go either way. But it's just part of the game, and just try to do your best for the moment you're there.
You said Lou hated the Rangers, right? And I feel like he still does now with the Islanders, but would he ever come into the room on like a Ranger Devil game and kind of like say like, hey, listen, like get your asses up right now, like it's time to go? Or is it kind of like an unspoken thing?
He would, we would never say Lou's name in the locker room. We'd be like, this guy, we would never wanted to bring his name to attention because he would just always just pop up. Which is like, how does it, guy was everywhere. He knew everything. We knew where Lou was pissed when he would come to a locker room in Sound Mountain Arena, and he'd be walking around the Devil's logo and kicking it. Then you knew he was pissed. But he would never ever like come in and make a statement of sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we are truly petrified of it. I'm still him. And and I still send him, Merry Christmas, whatever, Happy New Year, and communicate with them. And when I retire, I never forget to ask Lou, I said, Luke, can I, because I had to retire early due to personal issues, with my ex, and which is nothing wrong with that. And I retired earlier, and I went to Lou. I was still under the contract. I went to Lou. I said to him, "Hey Lou, so since I'm under the contract still, do you think I can get some sort of position within organization? I don't care what it is, just to stay in the game." You know what he told me? Sorry, qualified. It's like I've heard it all. Qualified. He goes,
After you've bled for him on the ice.
Correct. And that's after winning the Cup, because I came back after the round of the Calgary Flames, and we signed the Devils. Yeah. So I was like, wow, that is next level of stuff. And you know what? And be honest with you, I did all my certification. It took me about probably 3 years to get to my level 5. I started coaching from the very bottom. I started my own junior hockey organization, the Kaskarayanos. I had it from 2014 to 2018. USPHL Premier. And I've learned a lot. And I really appreciate the advice he gave me, although that sounds so messed up. Considering that I was still under the contract, basically.
I'm not work for free, basically. He's
yes,
already paying you.
No qualified to even push the pucks around. That's crazy, right?
Couldn't even send you to Albany to push pucks around the AHL or somewhere.
Yeah, no, I told him, I said, listen, I take any position. I don't know, like all you do is play hockey all your life, and now you don't. Like, what do you do? So yeah, so it's very yeah, I've learned a lot, and now I represent youth hockey players, try to help as a family advisor with JDM Sports with a great success we have. And again, like anything else, like I told you earlier, every kid is different, every story is different, everyone's got a story, every success is different, every path to success is different, and nothing can be compared to, you can't compare apple to apple. So so we just try to help these kids to guide them through the process of the big ocean of different opportunities, although it's not easy, but definitely it's very helpful to and I love the process of trying to help them. They still got to do the job. They still have to, if you're a goal, you still got to stop the puck. If you're a goal scorer, you got to score goals. If you are stay-home defenseman and shot blocker, you got to be a good D plus minus guy, block the shots. Everyone's got a job, right? So so there's no guarantees, but definitely does help. And all I do is 24/7 hockey, from 7 a.m. till you name it. So
that's awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I got a couple questions before I let you go. A couple rapid fire questions for you. What's your favorite arena to play in?
Oh, I gotta say it was the Calgary Flames. They're Saturday, man. The experience of playing Calgary. If I could give an advice to any hockey player that will have an opportunity to play at the NHL level for one time in your life, try to play for a Canadian team, but definitely try to play for Calgary Flames. Amazing. And everything, it's the people behind it, the organization, the fans, just awesome town. It was great. A lot of stories.
What was your favorite town to go out and party in? What was your favorite road city?
We never really party and stuff. Number one, I was married is one thing, but we were for dinners and stuff. But I had to say, when we played in Calgary, we had the infamous Cowboys bar, named the Nomer bar in by the NHL guys in league.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go there with the team, the wives go there, the girlfriends. The place was a huge place. After the games, we had basically a green light to do anything we want in Calgary. Whatever you guys want, do it. I went there one of the first times after the game. The general manager approaches me, the owner. He gives me a box of cards. And I look at the cards. I'm like, what is this? He goes, Krzysztof, that's for you. I want you to read the card. So I take the card and it says, Krzysztof Oliwa, general manager, shooter bar ambassador. I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, oh, what that means is there's a shooter bar to the right. And there's not a bars inside. There's a lot of bars within a bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the shooter bar, if you ever want to be our guest bartender, you managing the bar, I don't care what you do. And those times we went out and I would go behind the bar and basically all the guys pay double and all the girls drank free. And I had the most sales per night. So it was fun. It was great. It was a good time. Great people. Daryl, God, this guy is next level. So many funny stories. This guy, you can talk all day long.
Yeah.
I'll give you this one just off my head quickly. We played the Wings, Detroit. We played, I think it was like February or so. And that was on Saturday night. And we lost the game like 3-1. And we thought it was like, wow, we only lost 3-1. I mean, they were just stocked in 2003 or 4, right? Derek comes in after the game without saying what he said, basically saying this: 6 a.m. on the ice tomorrow. He opened the gates for fans. We had fans in the stands at 6 a.m. They're advertising radio. We went in as at 6 a.m. He put us in 4 corners, and we're doing laps for an hour. Then we do laps different way, figure eights. Then we went to locker room. He says, take your skates off. Now you're going to do bike program. You're going to work out. So we did that. After that, he put us in a video room, put the entire game muted out with all commercials on. So now it's about 12 o'clock, and he'd be walking in with his hat sideways, open stuff, and be taking, he would pick a guy, let's say, Oliwa. You suck in fighting. You that won't say what. You're afraid of everybody. Then you go after Igilna, and then you go after, another guy. He goes, I know why you're wearing white skates. Oh, it's just crazy. We laughed so hard. And we left the building, I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock afternoon. But before we left, he says to us, guys, I hope you guys learn a lesson. In order for you to win a Stanley Cup, you need to beat the Red Wings. Okay? That run we had in 2003 or 4, every game, every team we played, first one was Vancouver, went to game 7 with multiple overtimes throughout the series. Second round was Detroit. We beat him in game 6. Third round was San Jose. I think there was game 7 as well, if I'm not mistaken. And Stanley Cup Finals was game 7 in Tampa. But he was right. We would never be there if probably didn't register in our heads that we cannot lose to Detroit Red Wings. You have to find a way to beat them, or you will never have the opportunity to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And just stuck my head, man. It's like that was so ridiculous to not just screw the waking up, right? We have done it. But work out with your gear on and stuff, and then you sit your gear, watch the game basically, and I'm still watching him, obviously, on Instagram, social media, and I'm just like, man, he does not change. It's so funny. It's so refreshing watching him, because he just is straight up lays out how it is. And that's, what, you don't like him, don't. Guess what? Get used to it, because that's the reality. Okay.
He stayed true to himself all those years.
It's awesome. It's so like Torrella, another guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was the coach for Tampa Bay Lightning when we lost the Cup. I can't say I like him, but at the end of the day, listen, like he took those tablets away from the guys. He's so right. The guys come on the bench, all they do watch themselves play. I mean, pay attention to the game, right? Just saying. So I mean, can't say he's the best coach on the planet, but I gotta say I'm all for his certain way of his coaching, because I believe that you got to be focused, you got to do your job, and the amount of money guys making nowadays, they should be building houses on the parking lots. Just saying. No,
I know. I agree. Was there ever a guy? Probably not. Was there ever a guy on your no-fly zone to fight? Was there anyone that you wouldn't fight?
No, but I gotta say one thing. I tried to fight Proby. That's a good one. I tried to fight Proby one time in New Jersey, and they had on their team, listen, this squad: Brett Brown, Proby. They had Simpson, Vanderbush, a couple other guys. They had not a big kid. His last name I don't remember, but it's big boy. And Reed, because I played similar in the minors in Albany and Jersey, and he said to me after the game, Oli, when you fought Vanderbush the night, the coach said, who wants to go with Oliwa? And there was like, he was like, there's a half a bench raised their hands. And he said, Vanderbush, you go because you lefty, right? So, yeah, but no, never fought pro, but they try. He said to me on the face-off, he goes, Oli, there's a few guys before me that would like to go with you first. I'm like, okay. Yeah, never, rest in peace, obviously, and never had the privilege, but definitely looking back, watching his battles, I don't know if I want a part of that one. You know what I'm saying? Especially now, maybe back in the days, but now it's like you look back. That's he was the next. He was one of the best that is. No question about it. Yeah.
Maybe a good one to avoid, huh?
Yeah, no, maybe a good idea. I didn't fight him.
Who fought you the toughest? Like, who was your toughest fight again? Like, was there anyone you struggled against?
To answer your question, because a lot of people ask me the same question, who is the toughest guy you ever fought? The answer is me. Okay, now, because I've never, if you think differently that there's somebody out there is tougher than you, you have no business being in this business. There's nobody tougher than you.
If you don't believe that, right?
And that's why that's why you have to understand how do you get to the ideal performance state of mental toughness and be able to perform on demand at any given time. How you do it? Well, I know how to do it. It's the exposure, the physical, mental stress, that anything else becomes easy. But who I had a tough time with? Domi.
Yeah.
I mean, that was his head is this big, number one. I have bruised my. We fought one time in New Jersey, I believe, the face off. He soccer punched me in the face off. I didn't expect that, but that's just what he does, right? I should have known better. And I have bruised my hand so bad that one night, I think I couldn't open a month. It was the most ridiculous thing. I'm like, my God.
Just from a thick skull?
Just a big melon. It was this huge head. And although I met him a couple of times here in the rings, I think he's it's a new set of teeth, looks good, businessman now. And so, but yeah, he was listen, I had nothing against Ty because he was one of the reasons why I'm here too. Just kind of look up to the guy, but definitely he was he got you the spin mode that you couldn't get out of it. When you're a big guy, someone pulls you down, it's very difficult you can't stop spinning, and that's what he did. It's very difficult. I had a real problem with that, no question about it. So that was the one guy that who I enjoyed to fight the most. Probably was Jody Shell, used to Grimson. Rest in peace, Bilak and Nazarov. So I didn't mind do it. I enjoyed it. I liked my job.
I think I saw you fought Shelly the most.
It kind of sounds like kind of weird, but I did like the job.
I think I saw you fought Shelly the most. Is that just a guy that you knew every night you saw?
Because they traded me for him.
So you went after him then every time you saw him. Man.
Every game. There was not a single game that I didn't know. And Doug McLean, they had Doug McLean were doing a show a few years back, and he brought it up. He goes, we traded Krzysztof for Shell, traded Krzysztof, brought Shelly. Ever since then, he's causing so much problems. And one day I wasn't playing Columbus and run into Doug McLean, who I think is a great guy, good man, and good businessman, and great manager. He goes, Oli, why are you like this? Why don't you just leave my team alone? Doug, you traded me. What do you want me to do?
Did Jody ever ask you, like, hey, why are you picking on me? Like, or did he know, like, oh, this is like he got dealt for me?
Listen, he had to. So obviously, because I was coming from Rico shock knee surgery, that year I got traded. Within 3 months, I broke my humerus in half. So my 2000 year I had almost career-ending injuries because I blew my knee right out, the whole thing, everything went. And when I broke my humerus, the doctors, when I broke it against Detroit, I went to on a forecheck. I think there was a third period on a forecheck. brand new ice. Me and Tyler Wright were going on 2-on-2, and Tyler shot the puck wide. I'm not sure it was a Hashigan or I'm not sure who was in that. And I tried to go. He missed it wide. The puck came in. I tried to go around the defenseman and tried to basically tap the puck to open net. And he can't open me at the old barn in Detroit. And like the goal line was like 4 feet away from the boards.
Yes, he's running into it.
I went at full speed into the boards, and my arm just snapped in half. It was, I have this on a clip here on my computer. It was, God, the most painful thing I have ever experienced in my life. That hurt so bad. And I went to locker room. I basically blacked out. I went to half my body went like, I thought I was paralyzed almost. The doctors in the locker room told me that my career is over. I had to relearn. So that's why I went to California to rehab for 3 months to try to fix that. When I got traded to Pittsburgh, the very first time my game back we playing against Nashville, I had 2 fights. My arm was so much in pain till today. Anytime I go to the gym, anytime I let go of the weights, open my arm, it feels like someone puts a knife in it and one just turns it around. It's
Still,
painful.
huh?
Oh, it's a nightmare. Yeah. It just doesn't. It's just horrible. And but I had to relearn how to shoot the puck, pass the puck. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah. So, but it was it still bought me 5 years of hockey career, but it was tough. 4 years. But that was the beginning of the end. That's until today. There's a days I can't even put a seatbelt over it or put yeah, it's bad. Yeah, once it gets like inflamed this bad, I literally take I take week or 2 weeks off from anything not to do it because that's that painful.
Wow.
Yeah. So but yeah, so that's what happened, and yeah.
And Jody Shelley felt the wrath
And
ever since.
They traded me because they needed a tough guy, and I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt that if you're going to replace me with somebody, let's see if you make a good call. And we had a lot of good nights.
Last question before I let you go. Looking back at your career, is there a moment that sticks out the most to you when you close your eyes? Is there something you go back to?
I think the very first NHL game.
Yeah.
I gotta say it's the one thing that could have done differently. It's as hard as I trained. I truly trained. Summer times I trained 12 to 13 times a week.
Oof.
I started my routine on Sunday, then three workouts Monday, 3 workouts, and the third workout was boxing, just so you know. So I boxed every day just to survive. Wednesday off, 3 workouts on Thursday, 2 workouts on Friday, Saturday off just to start on Sunday again. And the reason being is, and I maybe could have done not necessarily more workouts, maybe different ones. Like looking now with the kids doing it, I wish we were doing a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like more skill-based stuff, like.
You know what? Again, my job was not scoring goals, but maybe even more agile. You know, saying changing directions, better edge work, things like that. You know what I'm saying? And this is not about being faster by be McDavid out there. This is about extra half a step, right? Get a better body position, get to the net faster. Things that make little things make a huge difference. But the reason being is, I always tell players, listen, whatever you guys go in life in this whole hockey thing, college, no college, tier 1, tier 2, whatever. You think it's hard to get there? Try to stay there. Everybody wants your job. So, and it wasn't, and if there wasn't for my injuries, maybe I'd have played longer. But those injuries happened maybe because I wasn't trained maybe properly at times. I'm not sure. Plaza was such a big guy too, and you take a lot of abuse and stuff because you play physical. So when you play a physical game, obviously you're more exposed to injuries. But I wish I'd done things differently, a couple other things. But one thing I gotta say, at the end of the day, when I look in the mirror, I say, Krzysztof, have you done your best as far as your job goes? The answer is yes. Like, never cheated on my routines.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Took very seriously my job because it was scary, number one. And you had to be ready. And two, I was just, one of the 700 kids that had opportunity to do something they love. And it was great. So,
well, incredible career from the coal mines in Poland to a Stanley Cup champion. I mean, incredible career. So thank you so much for joining us this week. It was great to hear your hockey journey and your story.
Thank you, Carlos. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very happy for you guys. And call me anytime, and I should talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Krzysztof, for joining us. Like I said, I can talk to him all day long, and I will hopefully have him back on the show because that man is just loaded full of stories. Great to talk with him. Anytime you got a Stanley Cup champion on the podcast, it's always a great time. Even if it's the New Jersey Devils, it's a feat. It's an unbelievable feat for any team to pull off and accomplish. I mean, he talked about, the win of it with New Jersey and the loss of Calgary and how tough, the wins and losses are. So very cool to talk with him, and a guy who, anytime I talk to anyone about him, they say how great he is, and he's always in the community doing a great job with his youth now and his giving back to these young kids and showing them the way of how to become a pro hockey player. So very cool to see that he's still in New Jersey and teaching local kids, and hopefully, who knows, maybe he'll have an NHL player come out of his camp soon, and it'd be awesome to see that. And anytime you see anyone helping the hockey players in the tri-state area get better and better, that's always a great thing. So I can't thank him enough for joining us on the show. And that does it for episode 118 of the Broadway Hat Podcast. Thank you to everyone who's gone on to our Apple Podcast and subscribed. We had 3 new subscribers this week and 3 new 5-star reviews. So thank you to everyone who goes on there. Please, if you haven't yet, take a moment of your day, go on Apple Podcast, search the Broadway Hat Podcast, subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star review. Every 5-star review, we do receive $1 is donated to Alex's Lemonade Foundation. So please, it takes literally 10 seconds of your day. Subscribe to the show, scroll down, hit the 5-star, leave us a little blurb about how great we are, and $1 is donated to an amazing foundation help fighting pediatric cancer. So thank you to everyone who's done that already. We're closing in on 200 reviews, so please, that'd be a very cool accomplishment to get that maybe by the end of March. Who knows? That'd be very close to see if we can get that done. But thank you to everyone who's done that. Make sure you go on Spotify and leave us a 5-star review there and subscribe to the show and follow there. You can find the show on Google Play, Pandora, Spreaker, Amazon Music, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find us there. Make sure you go and follow the show on social media as well, on Facebook and Instagram at the Broadway Hat Podcast, on Twitter at Broadway Hat Pod. You can follow my personal Twitter account at KHallNY for all New York Ranger updates. Make sure you go and follow the show on YouTube as well. We picked up another 10 subscribers on YouTube this week, so thank you to everyone who's subscribing there. We have show clips, we have full episodes, we have highlight clips of our guys who we've had on the show, so make sure you go check us out there on YouTube at the Broadway Hat Podcast. And thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.